Rajesh Malhotra thought he found his soulmate in Priya Sharma. But on their wedding night, he discovered she wasn't a bride at all. She was a ghost in a $10 million scam that turned love into the perfect crime. Rajesh Malhotra was the kind of guy people called self-made, a millionaire who built his fortune from scratch in Toronto's booming real estate market. After years of grinding through business deals and lonely nights in his penthouse, he finally decided it was time to settle down. That's when he came across an elite international matchmaking agency promising educated, traditional, and beautiful Indian brides. Among dozens of profiles, one caught his attention instantly: Priya Sharma, a 28-year-old from Mumbai who looked like she'd walked out of a Bollywood dream. Her bio painted her as a cultured, down-to-earth woman with a passion for art and family values. Their first video call sealed the deal. She was graceful, polite, and had that mysterious confidence that made her impossible to read. Rajesh felt like fate had finally smiled on him. Within weeks, they were talking every night, exchanging gifts and making plans for their future. Priya played her role flawlessly, often talking about her excitement to move to Canada and start a new life with him. She said her visa process was stressful, full of legal fees and travel costs, and Rajesh, blinded by love, wired thousands to help her get everything sorted. His friends warned him to slow down, but he brushed them off. To him, Priya was perfect. She sent photos of her family, shared stories of her simple upbringing, and never once asked for anything directly. She made it look like he was the one offering. By the time her flight landed in Toronto, Rajesh had already convinced himself she was the one. What he didn't know was that behind Priya's angelic smile and sweet voice was a carefully built lie. She wasn't a hopeful bride searching for love. She was a professional predator, and he was her next million-dollar mark. The wedding of Rajesh and Priya was the kind of event that made headlines in Toronto's elite circles, a dazzling fusion of wealth, glamour, and tradition that looked straight out of a movie. Rajesh spared no expense, determined to give his bride the fairy tale celebration she deserved. The venue was a glass-domed banquet hall on the waterfront, draped in orchids imported from Thailand and lit by chandeliers so bright they made the marble floors shimmer like ice. Guests arrived in luxury cars, greeted with champagne and gold-embossed invitations, while a live Bollywood band played love songs in the background. Priya stole the show the moment she walked in, wearing a custom red and gold lehenga worth more than most people's annual salary, every jewel on her body glinting like fire under the lights. Her poise was mesmerizing. She smiled just enough, laughed at all the right moments, and charmed every guest like she had known them forever. Rajesh couldn't believe how lucky he was, holding her hand and soaking in the admiration around them. But while everyone saw a perfect bride, no one noticed her subtle glances at her phone or the mysterious man standing in the far corner, someone who didn't seem to belong. Between ceremonies, she slipped away for calls, whispering in Hindi, her expression cold and calculating before returning to the crowd with a flawless grin. Rajesh thought it was just wedding stress, maybe family pressure, but Priya's mind was already working on something much darker. Every vendor, every contract, every bill was routed through her careful planning. As the fireworks exploded over the lake that night, Rajesh saw only love and promise in her eyes, while she saw dollar signs and a countdown ticking fast. The scam was already in motion, and he was celebrating his own downfall without even knowing it. 3 days before the grand wedding, Priya had casually suggested to Rajesh that they open a joint bank account to manage their shared expenses after marriage, framing it as a simple gesture of trust and partnership. Rajesh, still caught up in the whirlwind of love, agreed instantly and signed the papers without reading the fine print. What he didn't realize was that Priya had already forged multiple identities linked to offshore companies registered in Dubai and Singapore, all connected to that same account. She moved with the precision of someone who had done this many times before, using fake invoices, false vendor contracts, and discreet payment authorizations to funnel massive amounts of money out of Rajesh's investment portfolio. Every transaction looked legitimate on paper: floral payments, designer fees, and international shipping costs. But behind those names were shell corporations she controlled through proxies. Within 48 hours, over $10 million quietly disappeared from Rajesh's business account into an intricate web of hidden accounts across multiple countries. His accountant, noticing irregularities, tried to alert him, but Priya intercepted the email and smoothed it over with charm, pretending she had handled everything. She convinced Rajesh the charges were just part of the high-end wedding arrangements, and he believed her without hesitation. Meanwhile, she used encrypted communication apps to confirm each transfer with her unseen partners, ensuring no digital footprints could trace back to her. Every step was calculated. Even the currency conversion timings matched international trading hours to avoid detection. By the time Rajesh's bank's fraud department flagged the activity, the funds had already been layered through multiple offshore accounts, impossible to recover. Priya smiled sweetly beside her soon-to-be husband, acting like the picture of innocence, while her carefully orchestrated financial heist was nearly complete before she even walked down the aisle. The night of the wedding should have been the happiest moment of Rajesh's life, but it turned into the start of his worst nightmare. After hours of celebration, laughter, and champagne, the newlyweds finally retreated to their luxury penthouse suite at the Fairmont Royal York Hotel, overlooking the glittering Toronto skyline. The room was filled with roses, soft music, and a sense of perfection. Everything felt like a dream. But as Rajesh stepped out of the shower, he noticed Priya sitting at the edge of the bed, completely focused on her phone, her expression tense and unreadable. When he playfully called her name, she didn't respond. Moments later, her phone buzzed again, this time non-stop, and curiosity got the better of him. He glanced at the screen just long enough to see dozens of messages from unknown international numbers, each one encrypted, each one coded. One message froze his blood cold. Funds confirmed. Next target? Vancouver. His heart pounded as he scrolled further and saw photos of bank slips and transfers. Before he could process the horror, he realized Priya was gone. Her jewelry box was empty, her passport missing, and her wedding dress lay draped over a chair like a discarded disguise. He rushed downstairs in panic, only to find that the hotel concierge had already helped her brother load luggage into a black SUV an hour earlier. Surveillance footage later revealed that the so-called brother was the same man seen lurking near the wedding stage. Rajesh felt his world collapse. Everything he believed, everything he invested, had vanished with the woman he thought he loved. The fairy tale had turned into a con, and the honeymoon suite had become the crime scene of a $10 million betrayal that would soon make headlines across Canada. Rajesh wasted no time contacting the authorities, his hands trembling as he replayed every moment of the wedding night in his mind, trying to make sense of how he had been fooled so completely. By the time detectives arrived, Priya's trail was already cold. The hotel cameras showed her leaving calmly, with a man carrying 2 suitcases, both loaded into a rented black SUV that disappeared within minutes. When investigators ran her passport details, they discovered something chilling. The document was fake. The woman known as Priya Sharma didn't exist in any government database. A deeper background check revealed that similar scams had been reported in multiple countries: the US, Australia, and the UK, all involving a woman of Indian origin who used high-end matchmaking sites to target wealthy men. Each case followed the same pattern: romance, lavish weddings, and sudden disappearances with millions in stolen assets. Detectives contacted Interpol, and soon the shocking truth came out. Her real name was Meera Kapoor, and she was wanted across 3 continents for financial fraud, identity theft, and organized crime involvement. Meera wasn't just a scammer. She was part of a global criminal network that specialized in laundering money through offshore shell companies and cryptocurrency accounts. She had been using the same new bride strategy for years, changing her face with plastic surgery and her identity with expertly forged documents. Rajesh was stunned to learn that he wasn't her first victim, nor her richest. In total, the network had siphoned nearly $50 million worldwide. As Canadian authorities worked with international agencies to trace the stolen funds, Meera's digital footprints kept vanishing one by one, each lead ending in a dead end. It was as if she had never existed, leaving Rajesh haunted by the reality that he had married a ghost who had stolen not just his fortune, but his trust in love forever. As investigators dug deeper into Meera Kapoor's past, a web of lies began to unravel that went far beyond a single marriage scam. Born into a wealthy family in South Mumbai, she grew up in luxury until her father's business empire collapsed in a financial scandal that left them bankrupt overnight. The shame and desperation that followed pushed Meera into the underworld of financial fraud before she even turned 20. She met a man known only as the Fixer, a cybercriminal who specialized in creating fake identities and forged documents for high-end scams. Together, they built an empire of deceit, crafting dozens of aliases with flawless backstories, everything from fake university degrees to social media profiles that made each identity look painfully real. Meera learned how to mimic accents, switch personas, and manipulate wealthy men by studying their psychological weaknesses. Over time, she became the perfect chameleon, smart, poised, and emotionally calculated. While the Fixer handled the technical side, Meera became the face of their operations, using her charm and sophistication to infiltrate the lives of businessmen, diplomats, and investors across continents. Whenever a scam was completed, she would vanish, her digital traces wiped by encrypted systems and proxy servers. Authorities later found that she had married at least 4 men under different names, each time walking away with millions. What made her impossible to catch was her understanding of human behavior. She could sense when suspicion was rising and disappear before anyone realized what had happened. Her past lovers all described her the same way: captivating, mysterious, and untouchable. To the world, she was a runaway bride. To law enforcement, she was a criminal mastermind. Every move she made was a performance, and every love story was a carefully choreographed act in the theater of deception she had built around herself. Months after the investigation went global, Rajesh had almost given up hope of ever finding Meera when one morning an anonymous email landed in his inbox with the subject line, "Congratulations, Mr. Malhotra." Attached was a short video clip that made his blood run cold. It showed Meera sitting on a white sand beach, dressed in a silk dress, holding a glass of champagne, and smiling directly into the camera as if mocking him. The background looked tropical, the kind of place only millionaires could afford to hide, waves crashing, palm trees swaying, and her laughter cutting through the sound like a knife. The timestamp on the clip read just 2 days old. When Rajesh forwarded the video to the police, cybersecurity experts traced the IP address not to Bali, as the scene suggested, but to Vancouver, the same city mentioned in the last message she received on their wedding night. Investigators swarmed the area, running facial recognition scans and border records. But she had already switched identities again. Witnesses later reported seeing a woman who resembled her working as a high-end event planner, using a new name, new accent, and a fake business license. She had blended perfectly into Canadian society, preparing for what authorities believed was her next scam. The footage she sent wasn't just taunting Rajesh. It was her way of announcing that she was still free, still untouchable. Despite nationwide alerts and international warrants, Meera Kapoor was never captured. The $10 million she stole vanished without a trace, likely converted into crypto and scattered across untraceable accounts. The case remains open, her file still sitting in the cold case division marked active. To this day, people in Vancouver whisper about the mysterious Indian woman who charmed and robbed a millionaire, a ghost bride who disappeared before her honeymoon, leaving behind nothing but a trail of heartbreak, luxury receipts, and the haunting question, where is Meera Kapoor now?